Shabbat Shalom and greetings to you all. Now, I hope you're all in touch with Dad. There's still time because this year it's on the 17th. Now, did you ever notice that Mother's Day is the second Sunday in May, but for fathers, we make it the third Sunday in June? I guess whoever set it up realized we think a little bit less about Dad and we need another week of reminders. So I'm reminding you all, call Dad and tell him what he means. Father of night, Father of day, Father who takes the darkness away, Father who teaches the bird to fly, builder of rainbows up in the sky, Father of loneliness and pain, Father of love, Father of rain. Now, interestingly enough, this song was actually based on the Amidah. Ha'amidah, the standing prayer, also known as the Shemona Esrei, the 18, in reference to the 18 blessings it contains, but I think now it actually contains 19. It's the central prayer in absolutely every prayer service, and we stand for it solemnly. I don't think I've ever seen anyone take a knee during the Amidah. It's dedicated to the Great Father, the King of all, God, but it's certainly applicable to dear old Dad, the other Great Father, the King of his family. And as I said last week, many people have issues with Dad, strained relationships, anger, unfulfilled expectations. And I said I would talk a little bit about forgiveness again this week because I think for many, forgiveness and our parents, let alone any failed relationships, can go hand in hand. And these are the same kind of issues that come up in a few months during the high holy days, the days of forgiveness. Now, last week, the moon must have been going through some strange things because it was a very interesting period of time. I had several very difficult calls from people with deep emotional issues going on in their families. Now, one involved someone who called and told me they were having a really hard time forgiving a relative for their heartless, abusive treatment of them. And she said to me, "You want me to forgive them for what they did to us?" Now, another was from a parent who was estranged from their children. Now, one of the daughters had called to say she needed help, and the mother said she was not going to because the child did nothing for her, and they had been estranged. Now, these many years, I hear that word a lot. It's an interesting word, estranged. I don't know about its legal meaning. But in everyday language, it means to have lost closeness and affection. But everything that is lost can be found, especially closeness and affection, and especially between a parent and a child. Now, parents' greatest obligation is to help their children, and then the children to help their parents. That's the circle. But if that circle is broken, it can be fixed. Sometimes we just don't want to look at the mirror of self to see what we did to bring the situation on. But it generally comes down to ego and pride. Now, to both of them, I said the same thing. I said, yes, of course I want you to forgive them. It is not to excuse them. It's not to say that their treatment was acceptable. It is to forgive as a way of saying that they have no more right to live inside your head or your heart as they do inside your home. It's so you cease giving a person like that power to turn you into a bitter, vengeful individual. No one deserves to have that power over any of you. See, forgiveness is not a favor we do for the person who offended us. It's what we do for ourselves, cleansing our souls of the thoughts and memories that allow us to see ourselves as victims and to make our lives less enjoyable. We may have little choices to what other people do or say, but we have full choice as to how we can respond and how we can choose to let go of bitter, painful memories so that we can choose to cleanse ourselves and be free and fresh. So if you're holding on to any anger, my friends, let it go. It's good practice for you coming up on the high holidays in a couple of months. And coming up next week, of course, is the change in season, the great summer solstice, the longest day of the year. And that's a perfect time to let things go because those 4 days that unite the two calendars all stand for something. And the great summer solstice, the longest day of the year, is a time to, welcome the change in the clock of life. Because that's the one that deals with opposites. It's about loss and abundance. And we often have both of those in our lives, often on top of each other. And we see both of those with the wilderness generation that we're looking at now. And we see both of those in this week's episode. So please enjoy the cycle of life and season changes, my friends. And remember, the celebration of the changes in season is a fantastic way to personalize your own personal spiritual observances, to make it just a part of you. So let's bless this change of season coming up next week as we move towards summertime. And the living is easy. Fish are jumping. And the cotton is high. Your dad is rich. And your ma is good looking. So hush, little baby. Please don't you cry. So let's bless this change of season coming. Enjoy the summer and the warmth and the lust for life that it brings, and let's welcome it into our lives. Blessed are you, Lord our God, who guides the world, who makes creation, whose wisdom changes the times and turns the seasons. As long as the days of the earth endure, planting and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. Blessed are you, divine presence, who blesses the years. Let's also take a moment, my friends, and offer up special prayer for Dad and for those we love who did not necessarily know how to love us. The broken relationships of life. And while we're at it, give forgiveness so you can be free. And since it is an individual entreaty in a group of like-minded people, let's call together everybody we know in a showing of faith, of love as a community, a chavura, fellowship. When we express our nature of kindness, compassion, thoughts, feelings, hopes, dreams, and wishes that unites us all in this community house of spirit, the Beth Ruach. So once again, please do go ahead, invite everybody you know physically, psychically, emotionally, spiritually, socially, to gather and share from Psalm 133, the Hine Matov. Come together. Hine Matov, Nai, Shevet Ahim Gam Yah. Hine Matov, Nai, Shevet Ahim Gam Yah. How good and how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters together. Community, 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 together. We are a community, my friends. So as a community, let's spread love, goodwill, and fellowship to the world. What we give, we get. You know, a special thank you goes out to Barbara. You asked and you were answered. To my dear friend Lori. She doesn't miss a show, doesn't miss an event, always sends such beautiful emails and comments. And of course, my good friend Heidi, too, who has always so many fun things to say. And as we generate a spiritual connection that unites each of us together as a whole, let's send that special healing and renewal energy out to everybody that we know. So think of whoever you know that needs healing and renewal, or just goodwill. Focus on them. Call out their names for Christine and Dolores, for Gurley, for Bob, for Aubrey, for Ben, for Lindsay and Pinky, and of course the wonderful Devora. And of course, make sure you include yourselves, my friends, because you need renewal too. All of us need renewal. It is the kindness, healing, wishes, goodwill, and love we all send out that circles the world, finding those in need. So thank you, each and every one of you, for all that you do, for all you care, because the world is a world of spirit, and spirit never dies. Me, Shemera, Avotenu, Korah, Limotenu, may the source of strength bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage, make our lives a blessing. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit. Let us sing. Amen. Ishaberach. Let us all have our spirits renewed the world over, my friends, everywhere. Remember, this is your setting aside just a little bit of sacred time in your sacred space to talk to whoever you happen to believe in. It is a part of your kavanah, your intention, your goodwill. Now, this week we have great stuff, see? It's the story of the first two rebellions against Moses, which we see. And we get the story of the miracle of the staff and what it comes to represent for the future. And it reminds me of the Christmas thorn in Glastonbury. Now, if you've never seen it, it's worth seeing. Both Glastonbury, the home of Arthur, of Camelot, and the Great Thorn. Now, the Glastonbury thorn is associated with legends about Joseph of Arimathea, who is thought to have visited Glastonbury with the Holy Grail and heralded the arrival of Christianity in Britain. And it's appeared in written text since the medieval period. And a flowering spring from the thorn is actually sent to the British monarch every Christmas. But instead of focusing on Joseph of Arimathea this week, it's the Edward G. Robinson Parsha, Korah, who was the Levite leader, along with Dathan, led a rebellion against Aaron and Moses. There are actually two rebellions taking place, side by side, one by Korah the Levite, one by Dathan the Reubenite, the two sons of Jacob who control the political and religious branches of Israel. Now, we all remember the Edward G. Robinson character Dathan from the Ten Commandments. We didn't really see much of Korah. He wanted to take over, see? And Korah and Dathan is the story of two rebellions. It's a revolution that failed. You say you want a revolution. Well, you know, we all want to change the world. You tell me it's evolution. Well, you know, we all want to change the world. But when you talk about destruction, don't you know that you can count me out, in. Make up your mind. You're out or you're in. Now, maybe he got a bad rap. History is written by the victors. Maybe he wasn't so evil. Maybe he simply did not see the fairness in Moses being the unelected leader. After all, we were told they were all holy. And so we have these two groups. We have the Levites and the Reubenites. See, the Levite Korah opposed Aaron's right to permanent priesthood, and we see Korah become the archetype of the presumptuous rebel against just authority. But who's to say it was just? At the same time, you have the Reubenite Dathan opposed to Moses' right to permanent government control. All the people are holy. All the people are chosen by God. What made these two unelected people permanent power holders? Now, people get confused because the two rebellions have been combined as one, partly because of the movie. And we have a rebellion of Levites for priestly privilege and a rebellion of Reubenites for political power. And the two different rebellions take place in two different places of confrontation and involve two different modes of destruction. A consuming fire engulfs the Levites, while the Reubenites are swallowed up by the earth. Now, perhaps this odd weaving together of two rebellions was intended to suggest that political and religious power are inseparable. Now, that's an idea that would have certainly appealed to the priestly editors of the Torah. But from a modern perspective, it does make it difficult and a peculiar reading because you have to realize there's two things going on. Numbers 16:3. Korah and Dathan rose before Moses, and 250 men of the Israelites, community chieftains, assembled against Moses and against Aaron and said to them, "You have too much. For all the community, they are all holy, and in their midst is the Lord. Why should you raise yourselves up over the Lord's assembly?" Now, notice this is not rabble, not riffraff, but tribal chiefs, the people's leaders. And Moses proposes an incense test. And we're told God will choose. And this is only for one of the contests. Number 16:7. And the man whom the Lord chooses, he is the Holy One. So the incense test is going to be for the priesthood. Now, the test will be the use of incense because only the holy, namely the priests, are permitted to burn incense. Now, this test will establish that, and it will be declared formally from this point forward, that it's only up to the priest. Now, remember, it was precisely a misuse of incense that led to the death of Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu. Well, we know the outcome, but read it. It is an awesome story. Now, at the same time, The Edward G. Robinson Dathan rebellion is taking place, Numbers 16:12. You brought us up from a land flowing with milk and honey to put us to death in the wilderness, that you should actually lord it over us. Now that's fantastic. He twists it. He says they came from a land of milk and honey, Egypt. The house of bondage is represented in the very terms of bounty that have been repeatedly used for the promised land. And to many, the life of slavery is the life of luxury, because it's the life where you're given everything. But this, my friends, is a battle for leadership, which is to say this is political war. It's a battle for power, and it dramatizes the danger of the power-seeking politician who is a skillful speaker. So what happens? Numbers 16:24, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, move up from around the dwelling of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And he spoke to the community, saying, turn away, pray from the tents of these evil men, and touch nothing of theirs, lest you be swept away in all their offense. Well, Moses calls again for proof, like with the incense test, let God decide. But if a new thing the Lord should create, and the ground gapes open its mouth and swallows them and all of theirs, and they go down alive to Sheol, you will know that these men have despised the Lord. And it happened, just as he finished speaking all these words, the ground that was under them split apart, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them and their households, and every human being that was Korah's, and all the possessions. And they went down, and all that was theirs, alive to Sheol, that's to hell, and the earth covered over them. Now the earth opened, swallowed everyone, all their goods, and then closed again. The people witness the earth gaping, then closing. This is no mere earthquake. This is again magic, with the rebel Reubenites tumbling into the underworld. This justice by cataclysmic portent is pitiless. But God's not finished. And a fire had gone out from the Lord and consumed the 250 men bringing forward the incense. So while Dathan, Abiram, and company are being swallowed by the earth, a divine fire coming out from the sanctuary has consumed Korah and his people. And there was no shelter when that storm struck. Oh, the storm is threatening my very life today. If I don't get some shelter, oh yeah, I'm gonna fade away. War, children, it's just a shot away. It's just a shot away. War, children, it's just a shot away. It's just a shot away. Now, if this isn't a warning to the people that rebellion will not be tolerated, what is? See, Aaron's family will forever hold the priesthood. No one else better think of holiness. And Moses is in control of the political phase, and he will choose his own successor. Now, unfortunately, the people don't fully pay attention, further incurring the wrath of God. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, lift yourself up from the midst of this community, and I will put an end to them in an instant. But instead, Moses tells Aaron to go atone for the people, get forgiveness. So God didn't kill them all, but he did send a minor plague. And those who died by the plague came to 14,700 beside those who died because of Korah. Minor plague. And then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the Israelites and take from them a staff for every father's house, from all their chieftains according to their father's houses, 12 staffs. Each man's name you shall write on his staff, and Aaron's name you shall write on the staff of Levi. And it will happen that the man whom I choose, his staff will flower. Once again, my friends, God will decide, right? So that, basically it's the Torah telling us that, how the law was set up is God's decision. Numbers 17:23, and it happened on the next day that Moses came to the tent of covenant, and look, Aaron's staff of the house of Levi had flowered, and it had brought forth flower, and had burgeoned in blossom, and had borne almonds. And the Lord said to Moses, bring back Aaron's staff before the ark of the covenant as a safekeeping, as a sign for rebels, and let there be an end to their murmurings against me, and they shall not die. This, my friends, was the new symbol and would become the permanent crook and flail of Israel. Yes, the world is sacred, so is everything in it. Express your gratitude. Light a candle, make a wish, celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free, honor your freedom, be well, be happy, and be blessed. Share and honor the light and all who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to send everybody you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone, an end to terror and hatred. Remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together, we celebrate each other, we love each other. We share this ride together, men and women equally. So let's send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, goodwill, and healing to all who need it. And please do learn to forgive and learn to love, including yourselves. Open your hearts, honor the relationships of your life. Tell those you love that you love them. Take advantage of the time you have. Enjoy your journey. We take the twists and turns and the patterns that weave through the fabric of our lives in our effort to grow, to learn, to be, to love. So please do love. Now bless you all. Have a fantastic week, a week of love and light, a week of peace, a week of miracles. Examine your intentions and use them to impact your will in the universe, because we set in motion all that happens in our lives. Our intention, our kavana, our cause, our effect, everything is linked. As I've said, you always have time to forgive and to be forgiven. You do have that knowledge of what's good and bad, so acknowledge what you've done wrong to yourself, to God, to any person you've wronged, and ask forgiveness. But do so with sincerity, accountability, and vulnerability. Forgive those who've hurt you as you learn to be forgiving and compassionate. Because the secret of forgiveness, compassion, and peace, my friends, is in acceptance. Can you accept yourself, other people, the world just as they are on any given day? Can you accept life just as it is without trying to control it? If you do, you can experience the peace that acceptance brings. So do not stop your journey. Don't stop moving towards your promised land, your home. Keep on dreaming, keep on being, keep sharing, keep shining, keep teaching. Keep spreading joy and goodwill. Do not follow fear. Follow love. It's always there in front of you. And remember to have faith and unwavering adherence to principle. Just as I have faith in the principle of love and in all of you. Act with purity of heart and mind. Despise none, defraud none, hate none. Cherish all. Honor every child of God, every creature of the earth. May all problems know peace this year. And may you nurture kindness and love everywhere. So work to be present in the body. Expand your heart, quiet your mind. Because the deepest source of real power lies in your consciousness and your ability to be mindful, to be aware, to be present in all of life's circumstances. Make the most of your time. Continue to touch and transform the lives around you, because you're never alone. You are forever blessed. And you have the ability to bring blessings to everybody you meet. Health, love, renewal to everybody you come across. We're all energy. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. Your words are your power to transform, to love, to bless. So be generous, bless others, bless yourself. Love with the heart, because we're all part of a greater whole. Embrace love, not fear, forgiveness, not anger. Be there for someone, because someone is always going to be there for you, whether you know it or not. And continue to explore faith and belief, and do not accept shame as a natural state. Whatever you feel, others have felt. Whatever you have experienced, others have too. We share together. We learn together. We help each other. And whatever you do, try to find the love and acceptance and support in your life that we know is all there for everybody. We all have or could have that special someone. Find them and tell them what they mean. And remember, Dad is special, and it's never too late for either of you to fix your relationships, because the times, my friend, they are a-changing, and sometimes it'll take you to be the bigger one. Come gather round people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, and it is for you, then you better start swimming, or you'll sink like a stone. For the times, they are a-changing. And if that's how it is for you, change it. Be happy, be healthy, be helpful, be kind, and be loving. Imprint your will on the blank canvas of life, and keep celebrating being free to be you. Make sure you say hello to your dad. Shabbat shalom, blessings to you all, and I look forward to seeing you and welcome in, over the course of the entire week coming up, the new year. And enjoy. Take care, my friends.